My panelist of yesterday, Sham, has agreed to join me today, but he will be joining late because he has got other commitments as well. Beg your pardon, madam?
You may start the session, Professor, with
right. How many have come?
4 minutes past. The numbers are the same, sir, by and large. Just one more. So now it's 4.
4 only. Yeah, but we have to maintain the time. So let's start. Otherwise, we will not be finished. So today we have 2 sessions. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Can we start? Are we ready?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Right. So today we have 2 sessions. The first one is what we left out yesterday. So what we are going to see is the second part of overview of contract structures. Okay. So now you're going to see more of the contracts. So let's see what all we are going to see to understand the different elements incorporated in the contract. Now we will be giving you, okay, it's put on the website. You will get almost 5 pages of what are the elements in a contract. Okay, these are taken from a textbook which I was teaching before, and at any time this can be a reference. Okay, the terms and conditions in the contract are explained properly in this in these ones which are taken from the textbook. Right. To learn how statement of work requests and proposals can be incorporated. Number 3 is to understand the different types of contract and the significance of each. And the 4th, to understand the process involved in contract management. 5th is to understand the relevance of exclusion clause in contracts. To understand the steps and procedures involved in contract closeout. And lastly, to understand how contracts can be made voidable. Right, let's move on. So let's look at the definition of contract. And what does a contract do? A contract, in simple terms, is an agreement that is enforceable by court of law or equity. Enforceable by a court of law or equity. Now, equity is something which you may not have heard it. It comes from civil law. Okay, it refers to a particular set of remedies and associated procedures involved with civil law. Okay, it's a set of procedures and associated procedures involved in the civil law. Okay, and these equitable doctrines and procedures are distinguished from legal ones. So they are totally separate. They got nothing to do with the law part, but these are remedies, okay, and associated procedures which are carried out in the civil law. So a contract is an agreement. Okay, that's what it is. Okay, in your own mind, you can think of, okay, what your parents have gone through, a marriage contract, or if you want to take a house, a contract with the landlord. Okay, so there are several types of contracts, and our discussion is all based on procurement contract. If one party fails to perform as promised, the other party can use the court system to enforce the contract and recover damages or remedy. See, this is the most advantage, okay, of having a proper contract. Now we will get more into it as to where and which place, because jurisdiction is another very important thing, which we will talk about it as we go along. Establishes the terms and conditions by which the parties agree to conduct business. See, how to conduct business. It's all very much stipulated. When and where. Okay, that is what we were talking about yesterday. Okay, so a lot of things, what we said yesterday, like the charter party. Okay. I'm sorry, the contract charter, not charter part that comes in the shipping part. This is this is contract charter. Okay, defines the type of relationship between the owner and the vendor. Provides a way for the parties to obtain mutual benefits. Represents the understanding of the parties. Okay, so please do understand. Okay, what does a contract do? This is what is explained so far. Okay, there are so many things. As we go along, you will understand more and you will appreciate it all the more. So it's very important to have a proper contract is drawn. Okay, so as we go along, we'll understand that most of the time a contract is drawn from an old contract. Okay, and it is something which the legal people will start doing. Okay, it is their job. But having said that, the legal people have got their own limitation as to the application of the contract. They know the legalities, but they will not know the application of the law. Okay, and that is where, you know, subject experts and operational experts can, you know, give their opinion as to how things should be carried out. Now, elements of a purchase contract. Okay, and this is what I was saying. Okay, this is where we have put on the website the complete 5 pages from the textbook where each and every item is explained. So this can be like a reference in the future for you. Introduction of the contracting parties, definitions and scope of agreement, then purchase orders. Okay, it's a very important thing. Purchase orders, supply and delivery. Okay, and we will talk about some purchase order in due course. That's why I'm not going to explain now. Then specifications, quality and health and safety and environment. See, this has become so important now. Okay, HSC. Every organization has to comply with the HSC norms. It is very strict. Okay, then payment, liability. Okay, force measure. This is what I was talking yesterday. The force measure, as per the new norms, has to be put in detail because force measure differs from one country to another country as well as from company to company. So you have to put it the way you want it. Okay, then it's up to the other party to see whether they want to add more or they want to have any other, you know, they have any other point of view. Okay. Okay, liability is something which we are going to talk more in detail as we go along. Right, effective date and termination. Okay, intellectual property. Now, unfortunately, as far as India is concerned, we have not signed the intellectual property laws. Okay, now this is something which is very much against India. So we have all pirated items all around the market, and this is something which is not permitted nor tolerated in Western countries or even in the Gulf countries as well. Even in place like Dubai, as a faculty, we are not even allowed to take at a time more than 10% of a textbook. It's not permitted. So there are lots of regulations with regard to intellectual property. Assignment and contracting. Okay, technology improvements. See, when you see technology improvements, okay, it is mentioned in the purchase contract. Now, I was talking about SLA yesterday, okay, and my colleague Sham explained more about SLA. Now, this is where the importance of SLA comes in. Okay, if you put technology improvements alone in a contract, it has to be explained properly or in a purchase order. Okay, if you are buying technology, okay, from overseas, from the actual organization, like, in like Chiyoda, okay, in Japan, because they have got so many technologies which are for which they own the patents all over the world. So when you avail such technology, there are clauses which you should incorporate. Just to give you an example, okay, today is the 2nd of July, 2nd of August, and by the time this particular project with the technology you have, okay, it's going to be available within, let's say, 1.5 years. Okay, so the technology which is prevailing 1.5 years later should be incorporated, not what was contracted. If you do not specify such minor details, yes, the vendor will just get scot-free. He will say, yes, I will give you the technology as it was prevailing at the time of contract. Okay, so I'm just giving you an example as to how careful one has to be when you put things in the contract. Right, most favored customer. Okay, now this is something called, let me give an example. In Dubai, especially Saudi, okay, Saudi is a very large country. It has got lots of local manufacturing companies as well. So for them, import is carried out without payment of customs duty. They don't have to pay customs duty, okay, because they get exemption for that. So they do manufacture locally. So such people are most favored customer of the country, okay, and then it becomes, this is incorporated in contracts of other companies as well. Okay, suppose air conditioners have to be bought. Okay, the company which is contracting for air conditioners will put in, they have to buy the local product like Al-Zamil, which is manufactured in Saudi Arabia. So likewise, okay, this is called the most favored customer. Then confidentiality, statistics, key performance indicators and compensation, notices, severability, third-party rights, free trade areas. Okay, this is not applicable in this part now. It was there in the olden times. Okay, now free trade agreements are there, between countries are there. Okay, now what I'd like to explain is the second one, severability. Okay, please understand, this is a terminology which is used in the law and in the contract, which you should understand. Now, let us say both the parties have agreed to a particular contract and both have signed the contract. Even after signing the contract, if one party believes that there is one clause which has been incorporated is something against, it's against their favor, and they feel justice is not there in that particular clause, they can take that particular aspect to the court. Okay, and the court will examine that particular clause, and if the court also feels that there is an element of truth in the petition, yes, the court can nullify and make it void that particular clause. Please understand, okay? That particular clause which has been contested can become null and void, but rest of the clauses in the contract will remain intact. So this is called the severability rights, okay? Any questions? I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Okay, please stop me at any time and ask questions. Minority or women-owned business enterprises. Okay. Then general governing law. Okay. Now this is something which I will talk as we go along, because there are so many things which are connected with that. Okay. Now you are the buyer based, let's say, in a Gulf country. You're buying it from Germany. Okay. Now you may stipulate the law applicable for this procurement is UAE law. Okay, the German vendor may not accept it. He will say European law. Okay, so there can be a contest between the two. Okay, so this has to be agreed. So mutually they have to come to an agreement of going for a third party country like Switzerland or London, okay, where the governing law or the arbitration in those countries will be applicable. Okay. Now, what I suggest to most of my students when I teach, I will say it's better to go in order to avoid all these issues. It is better to go for International Chamber of Commerce contracts, okay, which is made in Paris. It's called the ICIC International Laws, okay, contract law, which is made in Paris, so that it can be applicable to both. These are applicable. These are standardized all around the world. Okay, the in-code terms, UCP 600, which is governing the letter of credit. All these comes under the International Chamber of Commerce. Okay, and then signatures can only be by the designated authority. Appendix, right? Okay. So any questions, any clarifications before I move on? Any clarifications, please feel to ask the question. Okay, if you don't have it, I'm just moving on. Right. Key details in international contracts. Forum selection in the event of a dispute. Okay, let me go to the next one as well. Choice of applicable law. See, these two are very much interlinked. Okay, now this goes back to what I just said now. Okay, it's called the jurisdiction. Which law are you going to apply? Is the law of the customer in UAE, which is going to be applicable, or that of the vendor? So, the jurisdiction in case of a dispute, all this has to be clarified and agreed upon in the contract. Okay, so this is called the jurisdiction in the legal terminology. Then payment currency. Okay, this again, as far as the supplier is concerned, yes, he will always specify his own currency. Okay, if it's from Europe, it can be EU, European dollars. Euro. Okay, and the language, English, and force majeure. We talked about force majeure before. So these are all part and parcel of the international contracts. Now, how to write a contract and information, the purchase contracts. Like what I said earlier, often modified from earlier agreements. Okay, start with the general form and sample contracts. Okay, you may have had a contract which was carried out earlier, so you take the old one and then you try to modify it. Okay, get advice from a corporate counsel. So it is the law department or the legal people are the ones who start doing it. Okay, now like what I said, they have limited knowledge. They know law, but they do not know what are the things which are applicable. The application is something missing from their side. And this is something which has to be incorporated by operation people, project management people, and senior management as well. Okay, right. Anybody has got any suggestions on this? Any suggestions? Can you link this to what I said yesterday? We were talking about contract charter, right? So we saw about 8 to 9 items which are mentioned in the contract charter. Correct? So we said these are these 11 ones. The organization has to have a repository, okay, of each and every item more in detail. So whenever there is a contract or a tender to be floated, you have to open it up and see what are the most important elements which should be incorporated in a tender or in a contract. Do you understand? Okay, so it's important to have such information as a part and parcel of the knowledge management of the organization. Okay. Right. Okay, what is a contract? What is being bought and the cost? See, what is being bought, from where, which country, and how it is going to come? Yes, these are things which we will see as we go along. How the purchased item is going to be shipped and delivered. Anybody can suggest me this one? How it is going to be? Especially the executives who have been working in the contracts. Hello, anybody? Nobody wants to open up? Nimisha, are you there? Hello?
Nimisha is not there, sir.
Okay, she has not come. Right. Who else can answer me? How the purchased item is going to be shipped and delivered? Have you heard about Incoterms, international commercial terms? And this is what it is. International commercial terms comes here. This is where international commercial terms, has got the significance. How it is going to be shipped, what are the terms and conditions, all things are incorporated in the Incoterms. How the items are installed. See, this is also very, very important. See, why I'm trying to take a little more time in trying to explain is each one, please understand, each one, if you are not careful, you can be taken for a jolly good ride. Okay, especially if you are naive to the entire concept of contract. Okay. Your vendor can take you for a jolly good ride. Okay, so you've got to be knowledgeable. Okay, and especially if you're dealing with an international vendor, all the more careful. Okay, if they understand that you are new to this business, yes, they will come up with all kinds of hidden cost. Okay, now I will talk about it very soon on this part. Okay, how the items are going to be installed. Let me give you an experience which I had in Saudi Arabia. Working in Saudi Arabia, we used to do a lot of project work. And that is it. Project logistics is my specialty, which I worked in very large projects. In most of the contracts, always the term is when you are carrying heavy lift items and hydraulic trailers. Always the terms are you have to deliver up to the foundation level. Okay, mind you, let's say these are 200 tons of material. Okay, it's like a turbine. Okay, so these are hydraulic trailers from the port. It is taken on direct delivery from the ship and it's carried to the job site. So the terms and conditions of the contract are it should be always delivered to the foundation. Okay, in most of the cases, foundation is always on the ground level. Okay, so it's always easier to move it from the trailer, okay, by jacking system, okay, hydraulic jacking system to the foundation. Okay, we had a case in Riyadh. We found they said the foundation is on the first floor. Nobody could ever imagine that there is a foundation on the first floor. And we were really caught. Okay, but being a very reputed organization in Saudi Arabia, we had to comply with it because it's our reputation which matters. So at our cost, additional cost, we had to mobilize cranes on 2 sides, lift it from both the sides, and then lift it up and take it to the first floor and place it onto the foundation. So this is the lesson which we learned. So when you learn lessons like this, how do you make use of it so that these things does not happen in the future? Anybody? What will you do? Okay, I'll give you a clue. Yesterday we talked about contract charter, correct? Right? We talked about contract charter. So such things you should incorporate in your contract charter. That means foundation, when you say delivery to foundation, you will stay at the bracket, say delivery to foundation on the base level only. Hope you recognize the importance of being so specific in these cases. Okay, so please understand, okay, when you deal with contracts, one has to be very, very specific. Right, let me move on. How and when the buyer will accept the products, acceptance clause. Okay, this is something which I will explain more in detail when we come to the next session. Because let us say in the warehouse, when materials are offloaded, okay, it's mandatory that it has to be checked, inspected, and then, okay, then only the storage is carried out. But before you accept the product, you have to give a notation, a remark. You just don't sign as received, no. So received only, subject to inspection and counting and testing. See, listen carefully to what I'm saying. Received only, subject to inspection, testing. See, this is how you sign. This is called an acceptance clause. Okay, testing, but only thing is testing, all this has got a time limit. Okay, so you got to have an agreement with the vendor as to what is the agreed time limit. Is it 1 month or only 2 weeks? Whatever it is, it should be incorporated in the contract itself. Okay, right, any questions? Are you understanding the intricacies involved in the contracts? Yes or no? Hello, somebody speak up, please. Hello? Yes or no? Are you there? Okay, if there is no answer, yeah, please go ahead. Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening. Any questions, any clarifications required? Because this is very important. These are fundamental things for what I've been explaining. Okay, so in order for me to move, I've got to really get a confirmation that you've understood the concepts so that I can move. Can I move on?
Yes, sir. No question means I can.
Right, okay, thank you. Right, information in purchase order contracts. See, appropriate warranties. Okay, now this also has to be incorporated properly in the contract. Warranties. Now, like what I said yesterday, when you say warranties, it has to be, you have to have an SLA wherein warranty has to be given properly, explained. I think I explained it yesterday, so I'm not repeating it. Okay. Now, remedies, including liquidated damages and clauses specifying consequences for late performance. See, liquidated damages. Okay. Now, it's a common statement that yes, you will be punished if you deliver late. Okay, if you do not supply the materials on time, you will have late penalty. Okay, that late penalty can be imposed only on the main contractor only if it's a turnkey project. Okay, if it is a turnkey project, there is a main contractor and then there are so many subcontractors. Okay, only the main contractor is subject to such penalties. Otherwise, other contractors, okay, are not bound by any such delay clauses, okay, because you are an intermediary. You're bringing by air freight or sea freight, okay. Things can go wrong. It's not something which is under your control. But only thing is, what we teach in logistics is, do not commit to the customer that you will deliver on a particular time period. Okay, you will not commit in writing. If you write it, if you give it in writing, then you become liable. So what you say is, you will say ETA, that is estimated time of arrival only, or ETS, estimated time of sailing from Paris or Germany, wherever it is. Okay, you do not commit any delivery time. If you commit, then you become liable. So please understand, you will only say estimated time of arrival. Right, boiler terms. Yes, standard terms and conditions. This is what I wanted to say. You remember in the previous slide I had shown about installation. Okay, now boilerplate is a terminology which is very much used in Western countries. Okay, wherein a supplier or a vendor, when he's asked to give details of the product, okay, he will just put one line, say, as per boiler terms and conditions. Okay, this is the common practice in European countries. For example, like installation. See, we just saw in the previous slide installation. See, when you're buying a new machinery, there has to be installation. Okay, but then it has to be specified properly. Installation means, okay, what are the things which are involved? Okay, is the company supposed to provide the tooling for the machinery? How much is given by the supplier? How much has to be bought? Now, who will install these machineries? Okay, is an engineer from the vendor side will be flown to, let's say, Dubai for installation. At whose cost? Okay, now there could be a need for inspection after 6 months. At whose cost? Who's going to bear the expenses for traveling back and forth, as far as, and plus the hotel expenses? Got it? So these are all things which are these are all hidden charges. If it is not mentioned, okay, you will get into argument. There can be disputes. So what is essential is, and what I always teach is, you should never accept boiler terms just like that. You should tell the vendor, we do not accept boiler terms without specifying all the charges which are applicable. Charges which are mentioned in the invoice will only be accepted. We do not accept any hidden charges nor the boilerplate in general. Do you understand? Okay. See, why I'm saying so much in detail the application is because you have to have the strength and the confidence to go back and tell these things. Only a knowledgeable person can do this. Okay, do not be weak. You have to be a professional in your own stride. Okay, and give it back. Say that this is what is required. If you do not comply, sorry, we are not going to accept it. Okay, then dispute resolution mechanism, we talked about it. Then key details in international contracts, forum selection, okay, also we talked about. Then choice of applicable law, payment currency, okay. We talked about the other things as well. Right. Okay, now look at this. This sums up the purchase order. Sorry, this sums up the purchase contract in a nutshell. Look at number 1. What is being bought and the cost. What is being bought and the cost. Number 1. How the purchase item is going to be shipped and delivered. Okay. How do you know this and what is the method of knowing this? Anybody? Any suggestions from anybody? Okay, this is where your Incoterms comes in. The international commercial terms, what has been agreed. Okay. Then how the items are installed. Yes, again, what I just said it. Okay. This is where the boiler terms comes in. You've got to be very specific as to what it is. How and when the buyer will accept the products, the acceptance clause. Okay. So please understand how important these clauses are to avoid any disputes with the vendors at a later date. Then let's move to the type of contracts. Okay, there are two types of contracts. One is the fixed price contracts and one is called the cost-based contracts. Okay, so in the fixed price, there are firm fixed price, then fixed price contract with escalation, now fixed price contract with redetermination. Okay, fixed price contract with incentives. Okay, so let's see these things separately, then we will understand better. Okay, let me just move on. Fixed price, firm fixed price. Okay, this is the most simplest thing which any buyer wants from a supplier. Okay, no price increase, the prices are fixed. Okay, price do not change. Can be obtained through price quotation, supplier response to RFP. Okay. Then simplest and easiest contract. Suppliers, see, when a supplier gives, okay, a firm fixed price, the supplier bears the financial risk in a rising market. See, very often suppliers don't do that because you can never say how the market is. So suppliers bear the financial risk in a rising market. Then buyer assumes financial risk in a declining market. See, these are, it's like a balance. Okay, when the market's prices are going up, yes, the supplier has to bear the financial loss. Okay, when in a declining market, yes, the buyer has to assume the responsibility. So this is where they have to have an agreement between the two. Supplier may add a contingency fee if the uncertainty is very high. See, no vendor is going to supply you anything at a loss. Okay, so what he will do is, in case of any variation in cost or a price, he will charge a contingency fee. He will stipulate that in the contract. Okay, then only this will become applicable. Important for buyer to understand underlying market conditions. Okay, so it's essential between the buyer and the seller. You got to be knowledgeable. You got to understand how the market fluctuates and and who is going to benefit under what conditions. Used for long-term contracts when costs are likely to increase over time, because we don't know how the market conditions are. Okay, the price of cement can increase at any time, or reinforced steel, which is these are all used for construction. Escalation clauses allow either price increase or decrease base price. Okay, now you can incorporate escalation clauses in contracts. Okay, when you say that, you have to have, should be tied up to an independent published third-party index. You cannot increase it as and when you want it. Okay, you should say, for example, like silver or gold. Okay, these prices are controlled by the London Stock Exchange or the London Bullion Market. So likewise, or the the Bombay Stock Exchange or the Bombay or the Bombay market. And I don't know a lot of. I don't know. I'm not very well versed with the Indian conditions. Okay, so these things have to be incorporated. Okay, there has to be some sort of index we should refer to. Okay, if the then fixed price with incentives. Now, when you say incentives, okay, fixed price for so much, and if there is an escalation in the price, okay, then it is renegotiated, and then if there is any difference, okay, let's say the price has gone down as well. Okay, so the benefit then it is shared between buyer and the seller. Okay, Terms and conditions allow cost saving sharing with the supplier. So this is also carried out. When you have a fixed price and then, okay, if the price goes down in the international market, okay, or in the Indian market, okay, and whatever benefits achieved, this is being shared between both the parties. That is also a situation which can happen at a predetermined rate of sharing. Okay, so whatever percentage, 5% or 10%, all these things are incorporated in the contract in the first place itself, like fixed price with a redetermination contract. Now, see, typically utilized under conditions of high unit cost and relatively long lead times. Can anybody suggest anything which comes to their mind? A product which has got long lead times. Okay. If you don't have, okay, let me give an example of making a ship. Okay, it can take a couple of years to build a ship or an aircraft. Okay, it could be 5 years can be the lead time. Okay, so these are where the unit costs are very high, very expensive products. Okay, but then when you refurbishing or furnishing it, all this has got a time frame as well. So long lead times are there. So again, whatever is agreed on, yes. Okay, the cost can change according to the market situation. Nobody has got any control over it. So there is an agreement between both the parties. Okay, in case of an agreement, in case of an increase in the price, this has to be notified and then ratified and then only put into practice. Okay, so there is an understanding between the two. Right, cost-based contracts. Okay, I'll give you one example of cost-based contracts. Okay, see what it means is between the two parties there is an agreement. Okay, I will do it at cost, but okay, give me 20% or 15% as my markup. I will do it at cost for you, but my charges will be 15 to 20% over and above what the cost is. Okay, so this is a common example. This is a common phenomena where contracts are being carried out. And I can just give you an example. I have worked in a contract, in a project, which was called the world's largest cost-based contract in Saudi Arabia. Okay. A couple of years back, the Saudi king had a dream. He wanted to build the biggest industrial complex in Saudi Arabia. I'm talking about almost, during the 1980s. So the king wanted that. So what they did was they invited an American company. See, Saudi is always American. So they invited one of the largest American contractors called Bechtel. Okay, they're world well known. They built industrial cities, airports, all kinds of very large contracts. So Bechtel was invited and they were given this contract, cost-based contract, wherein they had to build 2 large industrial cities, one in the eastern province of Saudi Arabia. Okay, that's where I worked. And then on the western side, called Yambu. Okay, so everything had to be put down in black and white on the drawing board. It took almost 1.5 to 2 years to get everything organized in the head office in Houston. Okay, everything. This is one of the best modern organized cities in the world. And that too, these have become the largest industrial complex also. It's almost 35 kilometers is the diameter of the industrial complex in one place alone. Okay, so this is how cost-based contracts can work, because when you think about such a large project, yes, this is the only way it can be carried out. Okay, then comes the contract length. Okay, spot contracts, short-term contracts, long-term contracts. Then benefits of long-term contracts: assurance of supply, access to supply technology, access to cost, pricing information, volume leveraging. Then supplier receives better information for planning. Right, now other service outsourcing contracts. Okay, there are other contracts as well, okay, which are of a short-term duration, or it can be a spot contract, short-term, like facility management services. Okay, logistics and distribution comes here. Okay, your catering can come here. Logistics and distribution, accounting and auditing. Okay, research and development, then order. Okay, order entry and customer service operations. Okay, now comes the consulting contracts. Okay, a consultant is an agent independent of contractor, not an employee. Okay, how does the consultant gets the money? He will get the money only once he provides the project report. Okay, right. Then ownership of intellectual property. Okay, this is another issue. Issue of residuals. Now, this residual is a very strange word, which is very much used in contracts. Okay, let me give an example from IT. Okay, let's say your organization wants to give an IT contract for installing, let's say, oracles in the company. Okay, you sign the contract for installing Oracle in the company. Okay. Okay, you thought everything is fine. Yes, they are going to install it. Yes, they will install it. They will install it as a system, as a software. But the way you want it, with all the requirements what you need, is something which will not be there in the software what they are going to install, because then it has to be customized. It has to be customized according to your requirement. Then that will become, then they will turn around the contract and say, yes, we will do it. But then this is a part of the residual. See, this is a supplementary, you have to give us a supplementary contract to customize it the way you want it. Do you understand? Okay, what it means, residuals. So if you are a knowledgeable person, you are well versed in this subject, when you give a contract to an IT company to install Oracle, you will specify, yes, this is the way we want it. Okay, these are the way we work, and these are the things we want you to install it. So give us a total price. Now, do you see the difference? Because this is where you have to be knowledgeable. Okay, then comes copyright ownership, other types of contracts, then purchasing agreements, then online catalogs, okay, e-commerce contracts and all that. Okay, any clarifications? Can I move on? I'm moving on to a very important subject called how to write statement of work. Shyam, are you there? Have you come? Have you joined?
Not yet, Professor. I think in
right, when Shyam comes, just tell me.
Yeah, I will.
Right, okay, so time is running out. So let me just make this fast. Okay, we will talk about statement of work in very soon in another module. We'll talk about in detail. So you have to write statement of work in detail. Okay, it's a formal written description of your minimum requirements to be performed by a contractor. Okay, the heart of your procurement, skills, processes that must be learned, equipment and supplies that must be ordered, primary tests, sample collection. Okay, I'm just moving to the next one because there you can see better explanation, okay, rather than these ones. Okay, so just allow me to move to the next one. This is the process overview of statement of work. This is what you will understand better. Okay, Let's see what are the processes involved. Establish a preliminary scope of statement, purpose or the objective of your procurement. Okay, this is number one. What is the objective? Number two, list the tasks to be performed. What are all the tasks which should be carried out by different persons involved? All performance requirements you intend the contractor to satisfy. All requirements that the contractor must comply with during the contract performance. Okay, so this is tasks to be performed. Then group similar and related tasks together. Okay, organize the task in logical sequence. Okay, when you are talking about processes, you should carry out and incorporate in a sequential manner. Identify the input, require the resources to perform the task. Okay, identify the output, required results or deliverables. Identify the timeline or the frequency of the deliverables. Okay, develop the parameters for acceptable quality and performance. Determine how you will monitor the deliverables. Okay, this is how you prepare a statement of account. Okay, this is the process in which you make the statement of work, which is very essential. Okay, so if you go by these steps, everything will be clear in the contract. What is exactly required from the contract, so that there is no misunderstanding later on. Okay, now we're just coming to the end of it. Importance of exclusion clause in the contract. Okay, whether expressed or implied, the term may take any one of the three meanings. Okay, it may be a condition or a warranty or an innominate term. Okay, now I will not deal with this subject because see, a condition which everybody knows. Okay, in a contract there are certain conditions have to be complied with. Okay, that is mandated. Okay, that is what a condition is. A term which is clearly vital, the main purpose of the contract. You breach, the main purpose of the contract will be affected. So this is a condition. Okay, like a warranty, which you know, when you buy a machinery, you get a warranty, 5 years or whatever it is. A term that is warranty, if it's clearly vital for the contract. Okay, so that is a warranty. Whenever you buy a machinery, okay, or equipment, or even a car, there is a warranty. Okay, now innominate terms I don't want to get into because these are something which comes in between. Okay, depending on the usage, it can become a condition or a warranty. Okay, so I don't want to get into because it's a little complicated. Right, why an exclusion clause is important in a contract? An exclusion contract is a term in an exclusion clause is a term in the contract. The party who puts it seeks to limit this or totally exclude this liability if breaches of contract occur. Okay, so when you put a contract, you should also put in an exclusion contract. Okay, now if see what happens, there are certain things there can be breaches in the contract. Certain things which are stipulated in the contract may not happen. Okay, then that becomes a breach. Because of for breach, then yes, the liability increases. Okay, so I will reserve my comments for a later section. Okay, as we go along. Right, circumstance in which contract can be made voidable. A void contract means the contract is invalid. This would require the parties to this contract be put into back to the original place. See, look at this example. If Ramo bought a pen and it turns out that this pen cannot write, he returns the pen and gets back his money. See, you bought a pen. The very purpose is it has to write. And if it is not writing, okay, you give it back. Okay, the contract is incomplete. So it's it's a voidable contract. So the contract is void. This means that the contract for the purpose of the pen is null and void. Right, so we've just finished the first part. Okay, any questions? Okay, any questions? Nobody has asked any questions today. Right. Okay. If there is no questions, I'm moving to a very, very important topic. Okay. This is called basics of performance-based contract. Basics of performance-based contract. Okay. Now, it's a very interesting topic, which you may not have heard. It's coming to India slowly and steadily. Okay. It's called performance-based contract. It's a very unique in this. You will understand as we go along. Very interesting one. What is performance-based contracting? What are the benefits of performance-based contracting? What are the challenges? What are the critical success factors? What are the key implementation elements for performance-based contracting? How do you write clear contracts? Statement of work, deliverables and outcome. How do you establish meaningful performance measures? How do you link performance to payment? Okay, how do you manage and monitor contracts? Okay, and then there is a conclusion. Let's see what is performance-based contracts. Okay, performance-based contracts identify expected deliverables, performance measures or outcomes, and payment is contingent on their successful delivery. See? I want you to understand this concept very clearly. In order for a contract, okay, the contract revolves on performance, number one. Okay, what is the deliverables? What the deliverables, outcomes, expectations, everything is mentioned well in advance before the contract. Okay, so the contractor is obliged to comply with the deliverables, performance measures, and the outcomes stipulated in the contract. See, this is going to become popular in India very soon. Some of the companies have already started doing this, because once you establish this, then it's easy to manage the contract. The performance management itself, it can be managed in a much simpler and easier way. Performance-based contracts also use appropriate techniques, which may include but are not limited to the consequences or incentives to ensure that agreed upon value to the state is received. Okay, let's get more into it, then you will understand. Let's look at the definitions. See, what is deliverable? Measurable or tangible unit. Okay, deliverables, outputs, measurable or tangible unit or service or product that must be completed or delivered. Okay, what is a deliverable? What is the output expected? Okay, it should be measurable. Okay, see, for example, now what is Gutty Intellect doing now as far as you are concerned? Okay, we are trying to provide training for you in contract administration. Okay, so there is a deliverable which is expected. Okay, am I right? Okay, we have to deliver in certain corporate trainings. Okay, people have to write a test to ascertain how much the candidate has understood or learned. So there are pre-test as well as post. Okay, before the training itself, there is an assessment, and after training also there is an assessment to understand what is the output of the training. Okay, performance measures, quantifiable expression of the amount, cost, or result of activities that may indicate how well and at what level and product services are provided. Okay. By the way, as students, MBA students, what is your performance measure? What is your performance measure? Anybody? Anybody to answer? Anybody? Nobody wants to answer. Okay. Getting a degree from the university itself is a performance measure. There you can have a classification, distinction, first class, second class, or whatever it is, whatever you have in the university. Okay. It's an acknowledgement. Okay. And that's a performance measure, what is given by the university. Okay. Outcomes. The desired impact on customers or the public results or benefit of the outputs. Okay. Outcomes. Okay. It's essential that when you go undergo a training like this, okay, what are the things you're going to achieve? Okay. And the company also, when they send you for a corporate training like this, okay, the company also would like to see what is the outcome. What is it that you have? What is it that you can bring it back to the organization? Okay, the process or the activity. Work done to transform inputs into outputs. Okay, so these are the definition of the terms we will be seeing more and more as we go along. Okay, then it will become more clearer to you. Okay, inputs. Okay, what are the inputs? Resources to carry out an activity. Example, time and materials. Okay. Right, let's see the standards of performance-based contracts. Emphasizes results related to output, quality, and outcomes. See, these are the three things required in a performance management contract. What is the output? How much is the quality? What about the quality? Are we getting the right quality? Then outcomes, rather than how the work is performed. How the work is performed is not the criteria. The criteria is what is the output of your work? What is the quality of your work? What is the outcome? Okay, so it is not how you performed, but these are the issues. Service deliverables. Okay. Performance measures and standards, or an outcome orientation and clearly defined objectives and timeframes. Okay. Uses quality assurance plans, measurable performance standards and outcomes. Okay. So these are the standards by which the performance-based contracts are assessed. Provides performance and incentives or consequences for non-performance. Ties payment to deliverables, okay, performance measures and or outcomes. Okay. Anybody, any questions? Right. So I want you to go through this. It's a group exercise. Okay. So we have been talking about deliverables, outcomes, performance, and all those things, correct? We have been talking so much about it. Now, I want you to read. There are 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 4 activities which are taking place here. Okay, they've explained 4 activities. So you have to, specify from which category you can see. Identify at least 1 deliverable, 1 performance measure, and 1 outcome. These 3 you have to find out. Okay, 1 deliverable, 1 performance measure, and 1 outcome. See, can you do that, please? Is the question clear? From these 4 examples what are given, okay, come up with 1 performance measure, 1 deliverable, 1 performance measure, and 1 outcome. Okay, anybody? read the sentences. See, facilitation services, contractor facilitates meeting at your agency. Is there any deliverables here? Any performance measure or outcome in this one? No. Second one, employment evaluation services. Contractor evaluates clients to see what services they need. Anything here? No. Look at the third one, healthcare services. Doctors are hired to provide medical services. Okay. Anything in this better than the other two? Then look at the last one, snow removal services. Okay. In Western countries, wherever there is snow, okay, the municipality, they work day and night with these, okay, snow removal equipments are there. Okay. They will keep on removing the snow which are falling on the roads. Okay, with these equipment. So snow removal services. Contractor plows your parking lot. So what is the deliverable? Okay, the contractor is obliged to remove the snow. Number one, performance measure. Okay, so removing the snow is a performance, correct? And what is the outcome? Outcome is, okay, the contractor is obliged to clear the parking lot without any ice so that people can take the vehicles for in and out. Okay, so off the lot, the snow removal services meets all these criteria because there is one deliverable which is evident, one performance and one outcome. Okay. I hope it's clear now, since you people are not answering it. I hope it's clear. Okay. What is the benefits of performance-based contracts? Encourages and promotes contractors to be innovative and find cost-effective ways to delivering services. Okay. Here, as far as contractors are concerned, they have to be extra cautious about the cost. Okay. Because it's all performance related. So they have to be very concerned as to what is the cost which is going to be incurred. Expects the contractors to control costs, creates better value and enhanced performance, ties contractor compensation achievement. Okay, so the contractor will be paid only if he performs the desired outcome. Identifies priority areas and invests resources to maximize outcomes. Okay. Yes. How do you like this sort of contracts? Anybody? Any comments? Is it good or bad? Is it good or bad? No comments? Okay.
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, it adds value to the contract we are hiring for and the service provided. So
Right.
it will add more performance and it would enhance the productivity also.
Right. Very good. It will enhance the productivity. And as see, let us say you are a contractor. So since your outcome, okay, and your performance are always being measured, so you will be very cost conscious, correct? You will be always very cost conscious as to how you're doing the work, and you're more interested in doing the work in the proper way within the shortest possible time. Am I right? Okay. So thank you. Now let's look at the challenges. Okay. Establishes meaningful performance measures. Use measurable outputs to measure outcomes. Research commercial quality standards. Collaborative relationship with contractors to develop appropriate measures. Okay, limited understanding of the vendor's perspective and limitations in the marketplace. How will vendors evaluate the risks and benefits of your contract? What is your position in the marketplace? Establish meaningful outcomes. Okay. Now, is there any salesperson in this slot? No. See, if you are a salesperson working for the company has got certain expectations from you. There are certain deliverables. You have got targets, right? And you have to deliver. Nobody is going to carry you just for namesake. You have to give proper deliverables to the organization. Otherwise, you're going to be out very soon. Okay. Look at the critical success factors. Partnership and teamwork. See, it's very essential. You have to work with as a team. Training, planning, internal management systems, available data and reporting, monitoring quality assurance processing. These are all very vital things within the organization. If you have to deliver quality goods, you have to have the right performance. You have to have a proper data analysis. Okay. And the progress and the process should be evaluated whether, so your quality assurance has to be carried out again on a continuous basis. Okay, now the most essential thing, please understand, is the plan. Conducting sufficient planning before implementing is an important element. See, this is the most important part. Planning, establishing who should be involved, in an organization. Identifying performance measures and desired outcomes in tandem with contractors and vendors. Determining the current performance level. Identifying the potential risk. Evaluating what services and programs will benefit the most from performance-based contracting. Developing an implementation plan. See, how do you like it? How well it is structured, how well it is set. So what is required is, if performance-based contracting has to be put into practice, there has to be planning. Like what I said from the beginning itself, the organization has to sit tight and work out what are the deliverables expected, what is the outcome expected, how the performance has to be. All these parameters have to be well thought of, and then it should be incorporated in the contract. So getting the organization to carry out this activity requires planning. And that is why in most of the companies, as far as Indian companies are concerned, they do not want to get into all this because they have no time. That's their feeling. But it is going to count. Its day is not far off. It's very much in Western countries. And it's a matter of time before it's going to be implemented. I would say, especially for our government contracts, this is the way it should be implemented. At least people will become responsible. Who is doing what, nobody knows, and everybody, a key indicator of agency planning. You got to establish a strategic plan. A key indicator of agency planning is whether the agency has established performance measures for this program. So once again, the critical success factor for implementing performance-based contract is planning. You have to plan well in advance, set up all these parameters. See how well it looks, contract management, statement of work, whatever has to be done. We are going to see this very soon. Then you will understand better how this is the starting point. We will see this very soon. Then performance measures, what are the things to be measured? So the performance has to be bifurcated. Then monitoring the plan, then the payment. See, let's see the key implementation challenges. Write clear statement of work and contracts. Establish meaningful deliverables, performance measures or outcomes. Linking payment to performance. Now, don't you feel, there are a lot of companies who would employ consultants, but the payment is linked to the performance of the consultants. They have to provide deliverables, then only they get paid. Okay. There are salespeople also in the same category. Monitoring plans, writing clear contracts, key elements, okay, clearly written, result-oriented, and clearly defined, complete and measurable. Okay, let's go back to writing clear contracts. How do you do that? Statement of work should be clearly describe the performance expectations, including how they will be monitored. Okay, compensation payment should clearly describe how payment is tied up to performance. Okay, when it comes to performance or payments, is it going to be once you complete the job, will you get paid in full, or it's going to be in partials, or are there different milestones? When you complete certain stages, you get certain percentage, you know. So all these sort of details should be mentioned. Terms and conditions should support performance, include any consequences for non-performance. See, non-performance also can be penalized because you are wasting time. Right, look at this one. See, this shows clearly how you can write a statement of work. Who will do the work? Okay, number one, what services are expected? What are the expected deliverables, performance, measures, or outcomes? Okay, how will you know the work was done or performed or whether outcome was achieved? See, how do you like it? So these are the key questions in the writing the statement of work. Who will do the work? What services are expected? What are the expected deliverables, performance, measures, or outcomes? Okay, let's move to the next one. Then you will see, then you can understand a little more better. See, these are the questions for statement of work. Who will do the work? What services are expected? How are the services provided? When will work be performed? What are the expected performance measures and outcomes? Okay? These are the questions you should keep asking. You ask yourself. That's how you can come up with answers. Okay? How do you like it? This is how you can come up with statement of work. Okay? Any questions? Is the statement of work clear? Okay, it's essential. Okay, it's essential that you got to have a very clear statement of work. Okay, that's the starting point. And with this analysis, you can really break it down into smaller segments. Okay, statement of deliverables. How to identify deliverables? What is the contractor producing that is measurable unit of service or a product? See? Look at the examples. You are conducting a training, okay? So what is the training syllabus? Okay? Or interim work task. Draft the final report, especially if you are a management consultant, okay? Your deliverables is the final report, your project report, okay? Counseling session, medical services, product installation. Okay, if the contractor is involved in, okay, you have purchased a material from overseas and it should be installed. Okay, so all the precautions have been taken care of. And when finally the product is installed, yes, the performance is complete. Okay, establish meaningful performance measures. What are they? Types of performance measures. Okay, output, the volume, the amount, and the quantity of services provided. Okay, output is something that's very important. What is the output? The volume, amount, and the quantity of service provided. Outcome and effectiveness. Outcome and effectiveness. This is the quantifiable impact on customers or your agency, the extent that the goods and objectives are achieved. A measure of the amount of frequency of occurrences that or result that happens because the service is provided. Because the service has been provided. Okay, now I'm trying to teach you. Okay, I'm trying to impart knowledge in contract administration so that as working executives, when you go back to the organization, you will have certain, you can carry back to the organization certain norms. Okay, the company expects certain outcomes from your training. Okay, how far have you become knowledgeable? What did you study? Okay, what are the things which we are doing? Okay, which can be improved, or what is it that we are not doing? Okay, so my suggestion is, okay, so you should suggest about performance, performance-based contracts. Okay, because it's something which is very useful for the company, and this is how you bring this contract, this concept to India. Efficiency, cost of resources per unit. Okay, see, efficiency. Okay, there are two words here, efficiency as well as effectiveness. Okay, when we talk about efficiency, okay, now let me give a simple example. If you have warehouses, more and more warehouses where the customers are located, okay, the customers will be very happy, correct? Because they can go to the nearest warehouse and buy it. Okay, the customer expectations will increase. Okay, but okay, the effectiveness of the organization to have more and more warehouses near to the customer's base increases the effectiveness of the service provided by the customer, by the organization. Okay, understood? That's number one. Okay, having more and more warehouses to where the customers are located increases the effectiveness of the warehousing and the reputation of the company. Oh yes, that's a good company. They provide all kinds of services wherever you are. Okay, but from a company's point of view, having more and more warehouses wherever the customers are located, it increases their cost. See, it increases the cost of the company. With limited resources, your costs are increasing. And are you making money out of it? Okay, are you making money out of it? That's the simple question. Okay. I don't know, people who have studied strategic business management. Okay, there is a concept called SBU, Strategic Business Unit. Okay, this is how please understand this very carefully. This is how organizations are viewed all around the world. Okay, SBU means it's an independent business unit. Okay, each organization is viewed from the revenue and the expenditure. Is the revenue and the expenditure, can it match? Each one is an independent revenue center. Is not only organization. Now within the organization itself, you can see there are so many different departments. Each department is an SBU, strategic business unit. Okay, each department has to make their own, the revenue and the expenditure should match because each one is a revenue center. Okay, so the concept of SBU is all around the world, and that is how organizations are managed. Okay, so what I want you to understand is, now as far as organizations are concerned, they look at efficiency more than the effectiveness. Okay, because efficiency is something which affects them very much, because having warehouses all around the country, okay, that affects their balance sheet. They are not making money, so they will only have warehouses, okay, where they have potential for getting any revenue. Okay, is this concept clear to everybody? Okay, I just moved to logistics in between as well. Okay, now performance measurement examples. Let's see the output. Number of intakes and assessments and number of clients trained. Okay. See, as an organization, as a training organization, over a period of 6 months or 1 year, yes. How many trainings have you been able to carry out? Okay. And what are the number of people whom you have trained? And what is the feedback which has been given by the clients? Okay. Outcome. Referred clients are placed into a competitive employment job for a minimum of 90 calendar days. Okay, once you have done the training, have you been referred for any employment? Have you been able to get any potential employment opportunity? Okay, then effectiveness. Percentage of referred clients placed into a competitive employment job for a minimum of so many calendar days. Okay, so this is effectiveness. Okay, so let's say the performance measurement of a training organization is measured. Okay, how many training were you able to conduct over a period of time? Okay, how many people were able to get a job after the training? Okay, so with that you can assess the outcome. Okay, and also at the same time, the effectiveness of the training also can be measured at the same time. Okay. Any questions, any clarifications, please? Are these points clear to you? Okay. Establishing meaningful performance measures. Okay. It should be good performance measures, should be relevant, understandable, and comparable. Okay, will not get into the details of it, just to understand. Okay, it should be relevant, understandable, and it should be comparable. Okay, based on program goals and objectives related to program mission statement, significant decision making or accountability implications. Okay, so these are, was it relevant? Okay, or understandable, reasonable and concise and comprehensive, limited to a number and degree of complexity that provides meaningful performance. Okay, so this is establishing meaningful performance measure. Okay, as MBA students, how will you establish meaningful performance measures? Who has to measure it? Can you tell me in simple terms? My question is, how, let's say, the public will establish performance measurement of a university or an institution? Let's say MBA students. Is my question clear? Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, typically analyzed with the number of people placed in the organizations in the corporate. So that
right, absolutely. This is correct. Go ahead. Sorry.
So
it's the placement.
Based on the placement.
Yes. How many people have been placed? The placement record is the performance measure. That's number one. And like what you're trying to say, what sort of salary as well, correct? Both are, yes. Yes, both are, there's a linkage between the number of placement provided by the organization as well as the salary provided. This is the highest salary and this is the lowest salary. Okay, so this is how an organization or an institution can be measured, the performance of the organization. Okay, attribute of a good performance measure. Okay, timely, provides ability to make decisions and assessment within a reasonable period of time. Consistent, it should be timely, consistent, reporting from period of time to over time. Okay, I have a question from what we were discussing now. Who is responsible for placement of a student once he comes to the university? Let me repeat the question. who is responsible for getting a placement for a student once he enters in a business school? That's my question. Who is responsible? Is it the university or the institution, okay, or the student himself, or is it a combination of all these factors? What is happening in reality? If the placement records are incorrect, are not very encouraging, okay, it's difficult to get new entrants to the institution, right? Because everybody would look at the performance, the placement records, correct? So there is so much of importance being attributed to the institution, okay? So do you feel that the institution themselves are the only ones who are responsible for the placement strategy? Can the institution perform on their own? Who should be the master planner for deciding the placement strategy? Don't you feel as a student, you are the architect of your own destiny? You are the architect of your own destiny. If you do not fulfill, if you do not learn, okay, the organization or the institution has provided you several interviews and you have failed in these interviews due to lack of knowledge and expertise or lack of skills, what the organization wants. Okay, is that institution at fault for non-performance in these interviews? Yes or no? Okay, so the sum and substance as to what I'm trying to say is that as a student, you are also equally responsible to carry out, to provide the best performance. You have to study, you have to be knowledgeable, you have to be multi-skilled, okay? You have to make yourself industry ready, okay? And I keep saying this very often whenever I go to business schools, okay? You have to be a commodity. You have to be a commodity of what the industry wants. You have learned so many things in academics, okay? But are you ready for the industry? This is the question, okay? So you have to establish during the course of your study in the institution, okay, meaningful, okay, your whole study, or okay, you have to make yourself, your performance for the organization has to be timely, consistent, and reliable. Okay, then only you will be needed by the organization. Okay, how much are the skills you acquired while in the business school? Okay, I've just given you some food for thought. Okay, establishing outcomes, how to identify outcomes. What is the desired impact on customer or public? What results or benefits does the state expect from these services? How do you identify the outcomes? Okay, what is the desired impact on customer or public? Okay, there are lots of students going for the medical college. Okay, now some of the students get, okay, scholarship. Some are sponsored by organizations, or some are sponsored by the government organizations or departments where they're coming from. Okay, then they have an equal responsibility to give it back to the government, okay, after the completing their studies. The best example which comes to my mind is from Dubai. Okay, the Dubai ruler Sheikh Mohammed is a very sensible ruler. Okay, I remember when he was opening up the knowledge village in Dubai in 2003. Okay, he said, I want the country to grow, and that's why I'm establishing here the knowledge village. Okay, unless we have knowledgeable workers, the country will not expand. The country will not grow. Okay, now he has got certain principles, unwritten law in Dubai for the government organizations. Okay, unless and until a person is qualified, he will not be promoted to the next position. That is why we have in Dubai or in UAE especially, and now, okay, I've been teaching in various schools, especially in the evening hours. Okay, these people come in the evening hours. Okay, they work from morning until 2:30 in the government departments. Then they go home and then they come to the college. Okay, the college starts at 6 o'clock. It goes up to 9 or 10. They reverently come for studies because they know for a fact whether it is he or she can get a promotion only if or she passes the exam. Okay, if you do not have a master's, a bachelor's degree, yes, you got to acquire a bachelor's degree. Okay, now if you do not have a master's degree, yes, you got to get it. Okay, now what happens is most of these people are working in the government in various departments. Okay, now these departments will give the student the the stipend, okay, for study. Now, yes, they get the stipend, but they have to provide to the government or to the department the outcomes from their study. The departments monitors their outcomes very closely to see how he or she is performing. Okay, if he or she is not performing, then the scholarship is taken away. So that is why in my career I've seen these men and women, they are very hardworking and they're very interested in studies. Okay, because they know for a fact if we do not perform, we do not have any progression in our career. How do you like it? This is a typical example of establishing performance-based career. Okay, have you understood the example? These are things which are being carried out. That is why this country is improving. Okay, I've seen in my 10 years or 15 years where I've been working in Dubai, how the country has developed, how the local nationals have become very knowledgeable. Okay, that is what is required. Right. Examples, percentage of people who put smoking after taking a class to help them quit. Okay, or percentage of families who now go for referrals within 6 months of parenting classes. So what is required is when you see students who are violating or are absenting themselves from the studies, okay, they should be sent for coaching, okay, or for counseling, and see when they come out of the counseling, they should be watched, they should be followed to see how they are performing. Have they come out of it or they're still? So you have to establish, okay, monitor the outcomes of such counseling. That's what it means. Okay, what are the performance measurement issues? Are the performance measures specific to the task and services? Are they achievable? See here, it is your responsibility. Okay, like I gave a crude example of Dubai. Okay, it's an unwritten law. Nobody will be permitted to progress in their career without proper academic qualifications. Okay, and people who are good, yes, they are picked up at random from here and there, and they are sent abroad for studies, further studies. Okay, so you have to come up with your own performance measurement standards. Are they achievable? Are they consistent with industry standards? Okay, are they consistent with or contribute to the agency's performance measures? Are there interim or in-process measures that can be used as a basis for payment? Okay, how do you like linking with, linking performance to payment? Okay, just like a salesman or a consultant. Okay, don't you feel that it's good to have the payment linked to performance? That can be financial incentives or non-financial. Okay, especially, okay, you have completed 15 years. Yes. Okay, these are the benefits you would get because you have completed a long service. What are the consequences? See, what is the consequences for non-performance? That is also equally important to understand. Okay. Yes, for a salesperson, okay, if you do not perform, yes, okay, and if you're not meeting your targets on a regular basis, yes, okay, the chances of your contracts being renewed are very remote. Okay, so essential that the salespeople have to perform according to their targets. Okay, what to add? Liquidated damages, penalties and warranties. Okay, now this is something which can be applicable to the contractors. Okay, like what I said earlier, liquidated damages cannot be enforced on any vendor so far. Okay, just because you have not provided the spare parts what is required, the whole plant has come to a standstill and you are responsible for the costs, the loss what has been incurred by the company. No, nobody in the world ever would accept such a clause. Okay, so these things have to be mentioned very clearly in the contract. Are the deliverables, performance measures, outcomes specific to the task and service? Are the deliverables, performance measures and outcomes specific to the task or services? So what is required is you have to customize the very activity or the job in which you want to tie up to payment. Okay, are the interim or are there interim or in-process measures that can be used as a basis for payment? Okay, yes, it can be. How will you monitor, plan and identify when performance requirement? Right, so let's go a little more deeper into linking the performance to payment. What are the payment methods? Amount per unit of output. Okay, if you complete the task on time, okay, as specified in the contract, on time, okay, you will be paid so much amount per completion report. Okay, if you've got several reports to complete, okay, or let's say like a salesperson, $200 commission per client as a referral. Percentage of task, set amount for an assessment, but a fixed percentage for different stages of the assessment. Variable percentage of a fixed fee depending on performance. Incentives if performance exceeds standard. Okay, phase in performance payments. Okay, the performance payments also can be staged. It can come up in it can be provided in various stages. Okay, initial down payment and then completion of 15% or 10%. Likewise, you can have a system whereby the performance payment is scheduled according to the outcome what is provided. Okay, managing and monitoring contracts. Okay, how do you monitor? Monitoring is a key element of the performance-based contract. Must ensure contractor performed according to the contract before payment is made. See, this is the big job. See here, the advantage is, do you think you have to wait until the end? Okay, now you don't have to wait until the end. You can have, okay, evaluations carried out on a quarterly basis, on a half-yearly basis, or if you want to have it, even less than that. But the essence of it is that it should be continuous assessment. Okay, address issues with the contractor. So, okay, you've got to have a dialogue with the contract. That's what it means. You've got to have a proper dialogue with the contractor to assess, okay, how the work is being carried out. Okay, what are the obstacles which you are facing? What are the challenges? Okay, now in a contract, there can be issues which was never conceived before. Okay, so as the contractor starts working, he may come up with so many obstacles in the way which was never conceived in the past. Okay, so such things have to be discussed openly and then come to an understanding. Okay, so because if you do not have an agreement on such things, the entire project can get delayed. Okay, and your performance can be affected. How to monitor? So everything like what we said yesterday. Okay, like in a project management. Okay, in a project management, everything is documented on a daily basis. What was the work carried out? Okay, how much of work has been done? What percentage of work has been carried out? Okay, and how much is remaining? And what are the challenges that what they had? What are the work which has been incomplete? Okay, why it was incomplete? What is the reason attributed to it? Okay, so likewise, okay, and how will you know the contractor performed? See, this also has to be put, everything has to be in writing. Okay, there has to be yardstick. Okay, so in project management, there are so many methods, critical, path method, all kinds of methods are there. Okay, wherein you can monitor the contracts in a proper manner. Okay, now we're coming to the end of it. So I want you people to tell me as to how was the session? What have you learned? What you had difficulties to understand? Please feel to ask questions. Okay, well, let me ask a question. The performance-based contract, how do you like it in the first place? Is it something workable in India? If not, why?
So it varies from industry to industry. So with
Can you increase can you increase the volume a little bit?
So am I audible now?
Yeah.
So with the talent around in IT sector, we can't compare that to the manufacturing sector or any other healthcare industry or such.
Right.
So that depends on the industry and the growth and how long is it being sustainable in thing. So it depends on various other factors also.
Right.
So
okay, let me ask a counter question. Are you working in the IT industry?
No, sir, no.
Okay. See, don't you feel that even in the IT industry also, the performance can be measured based on the projects? The projects have got various phases, right? Unless and until you complete certain phases, you're not going to move. So, there can be, deliverables mentioned for each stage of the contract. Correct?
Yes, sir. As you already mentioned one point regarding the way the process is being done is not recognized, but the result and the output is measured and that reflects on the performance, right? No, sir. So with the experience and the talent around, so I felt that it is more critical of examining that. So that
Very good. Very good. Which industry are you working?
Sir, already I'm from Jain University, sir.
Oh, from Jain University. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Who is speaking, please?
Nitish.
Ah, okay, Nitish. Okay, good to see you, Nitish. Okay, good.
Yes,
So your friend is not there today?
sir,
Nimisha?
Nimisha had an issue with the link and payment issue, I guess. So it wasn't shared, it seems. I just
I see.
texted.
No, she was there yesterday.
Yes, sir, but I guess you're.
Professor Matthews, this TR,
Yeah.
actually yesterday ASBM as an exception had sent the master link to Nimisha, just as an exception.
TR, I can't hear you. I think it's not loud enough.
Any better now, sir?
Yeah, better, yeah.
Actually, yesterday ASBM had graciously sent the master link to Nimisha as an exception. It was the opening day. She's having some issues. I don't know whether it's technical or otherwise. So I've already informed the ASBM regarding the same. I think they will.
Okay. TR, will you sort it out for tomorrow?
Yeah. It's not exactly in my hands, but yeah, in terms of intimating ASBM,
Okay.
I've done that.
I mean, just coordinate with the madam and see.
I've done that.
Just coordinate with the madam and see how best
So hopefully it should be resolved. I had a one-to-one with Nimisha as well.
Right.
Hopefully
Thank you.
Thank
Right.
you,
Please.
And
let's utilize the time properly.
Yeah.
Okay. How is the contracts coming up? How was the first session? Are you now clear on the contracts? The necessity for having contracts, proper contracts, elements of contract? How many are using contracts in your job? You're directly involved in contract management. And what are the issues you have faced in your work? Anybody? I do understand that there are 7 people from Tata Steel. Correct? Okay. Which location are you working? And what are the departments you're working in? Anybody in the contracts? Hello, Tata Steel. There are 7 people, right? Can somebody from Tata Steel open up and speak up, please? I have a lot of fond memories of Tata's because I'm a product of XLRI in Jamshedpur. So I have lots of fond memories of Jamshedpur and Tata Steel. I've been taught by several senior managers from Tata Steel as well as Telco. Right. Okay, I believe there is somebody from NTPC as well, right? There's one person from NTPC. Are you there? Are you there? One person from NTPC. Right, Professor Pratap, yeah, good to see you. Good to see you, Professor Pratap. How do you feel now? Better? I think you're mute. You're mute.
You unmute, sir. Then.
I can unmute?
No, sir. You are there. I am asking to Pratap, sir.
Yeah.
Professor Pati.
Hello?
Hello. Are you there, sir?
Yeah, hello, Professor Matthews. This was a good presentation. Yesterday was also very good. My name is Saroj Kaul. I am also a faculty teaching such subjects. I would really encourage the organizers and yourself to provide us with this content as a PDF file, right? So because we would like to go through this material in advance. So that means for tomorrow's session, if we have the material, at least we go into it, read through it, and then when you explain to us tomorrow, that would be very, very useful. Otherwise, this is just like coming as an ocean. We have to connect, we have to relate, we have to see the examples. So we would appreciate all your content material as a PDF file provided to us. Another point is there was a mention that there would be somebody else from Gati, Awan, India. So where is that website and where is that link?
Right.
Yeah, I understand Professor Pati is not well today, and maybe we can excuse him, but we would like to have all these things prior from the people who are at the helm of affairs, that means who are speaking, please, who are telling us. We would like to have all this earlier.
Okay, DR, can you speak up on the, see, madam, okay, thank you for your observations, madam. Now, we do provide as a PDF form after the course is over, after the session is over, right? TR, can you explain it? Have you put it already?
Yes, Professor, thank you. Madam
Louder.
Sir, after the session is over, we'll be making due arrangements to have a web link which is connected to the cloud.
Louder, not clear, louder.
Just, I think my volume's been set. Just a moment. Yeah, is it better now? Is it better?
Yeah, better.
Yeah. So we are making arrangements to have each presentation sent as a PDF in a read-only format via a cloud link. This is being done in coordination with the ASBM. So after the session is over, either on the same day or at the most on the succeeding day, we would be sending the PDF. Now, with specific regard to your perspective of sending the courseware before the actual class, that does not do real justice, because at the end of the day, whatever we would find on the slides ultimately needs to be explained. Otherwise, anyway, it won't make that much of sense. So, like when you attend at any class, it's not that the lessons are shown to you prior, isn't it? So, in the same spirit, we will be sharing the the courseware post the session. Due to a technical glitch, it did not happen the way it was planned as far as yesterday's session is concerned. But within today, you'll in all probability get the link.
There was on 3rd of August. On 2nd of August, we do not have, but tomorrow we have this experiential learning lesson. So we would like to be, we should know this earlier, prior. How do we have to prepare also a little bit. We have to see also. Otherwise, it happens at the same time. It's haphazard. You can't concentrate on whether you are listening or whether you are. So that is very important. Yeah, because this is not a subject which can be taught through some presentations and all that. You have to do it. So today we should have, Professor Matthew, we should have a sample of a performance contract. You can even take the contract that a teacher has to do with the students. The teacher in every employment, in every job, performance contract, KRA, KPIs, those are very important, essential for any reward, any promotion. So we should have a contract to see. So narrating experiences in the Gulf and comparing them with India is okay, but we need to see something hard.
Madam, definitely these things will be on the website.
Yeah,
We will be provided on the website.
As professor, you have been there in Tata Steels and worked there or employed there, whatever it is. We really appreciate. So a Tata Steel contract should be shown, whether it is performance based or not, or any contract from Sharjah or anywhere. If I am told to present it, I will pull up at least 7 international contracts to show to the students or to my audience that this is a performance contract.
Madam, I do appreciate your observations, okay?
Yeah.
But please understand the limitations when you are teaching for 2.5 hours, okay? Now, like what I said on the first day itself, these type of subjects, okay, I mentioned this to Professor Pratap as well. Okay, these are type of subjects which are taught on a full-time basis, full-day basis. That's what I've been doing all these years, okay? When it's a full-time basis, whatever you said is absolutely right, and that's the way it is being taught. But when it's 2.5 hours, okay, there are lots of limitations. That is something which you got to appreciate. Okay, as a faculty, you know it. How much are you able to cover within a span of 2.5 hours? That's number one. Number two, okay, academically, PowerPoints are never given before the teaching. It's always given after the session is over. So that, yes, so that it can be utilized properly. You know it as a faculty. Do you encourage your PowerPoints or your study materials to be given in advance? Okay, case studies can be given. Okay, formats can be given. Yes, what you're saying is right.
Reading material also everywhere, internationally also. Yeah, thank you very much. No problems. So you can do it after. We have to give study material a prior.
Yeah, absolutely. It will be given to the students. You know, it'll be on the website. These sort of samples.
Yeah. Thank you very much. But I don't.
Thank you, madam.
The PDF will be emailed to you, so it will come from ASBM. It will be emailed to you, and it will be in a read-only format.
Yeah, I can't hear you.
The PDF will be emailed to the individual participants, and to be in a read-only format. Will come from ASBM eventually. They are responsible for disseminating the courseware.
It's not clear at all what you're saying.
Okay, I think I'm also having issues with my headset. I'll disconnect and just straight away take the system speaker. Just a moment, sir. Just a moment.
Why don't you take off? Yeah, why don't you take off then speak? Yeah.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, better.
Much better. I was telling ma'am that these files, as in the PowerPoint files, will be converted to PDF and will be shared individually across each and every participant via email.
Yeah, after each class, we like sending the pattern. Not before, but just after the class, they will be sending.
I'm sorry, Dr. Rupana, I didn't get you there. I could kindly repeat what you said. Dr. Rupana, I did not.
I said that, okay, for the participants, this PDF, this PowerPoint converted into PDF, it will be sent at the end of each session.
Right, end of the session, yes.
End of the session, yeah. That's what I was saying, ma'am. Either the same day or at most the next day.
Yeah, at most at the next day.
Yes, ma'am. Due to some technical issues our side, there was a slight delay. But I think probably within today you will be getting it too. Today's session as well as yesterday's session. So then you can take it forward as far as disseminating to the participants is concerned.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right. Any more questions? Any more clarifications? Sample formats will be put on the website. There's no doubt about it. It's not a difficult proposition at all. Right. Any more clarifications? If there is no more clarifications, no more questions, can we close it for the day? If you want to ask any more questions, you're welcome. Okay, right. Madam, I understand there is no more questions.
I hope. I so we can end today.
Okay, thank you, madam.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all a good evening. Have a good evening ahead. Thank you very much.